Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MomChitChat. Before we get started on today's very lovely topic, I would like to introduce myself and the lovely ladies I have here with me. My name is Jane Ogoye and I'm the founder of Fab Mom NG.
My name is Nicole Chikwe and I'm the founder of TK Wellness.
My name is Modukwe Enila, the founder of High Mom Zone.
Okay, so today we're talking about a very, very interesting topic, a subject that is dear to our hearts as parents and as moms, of course. And before we invite our special guest who will be doing justice to this all-important topic, I would love to ask some of the questions that some moms might have with regards to raising special needs children. Do you think there's a lot of stigma attached to this in our country?
I think there's definitely a lot of stigma attached to it, even all over the world, but particularly in Africa. We already find it difficult to talk about certain issues, let alone issues concerning our children and having them be somehow seen as less than perfect.
That's true.
So also, to be fair to these moms, I know that it's an incredibly difficult experience to go through, and unfortunately we don't really realize that in just having these conversations you can be helping and supporting another mom on her journey.
Yes, I totally agree with Nicole. And I think ignorance has a lot to do with
yes,
it.
ignorance.
A lot of people don't know the risk factors, the causes, and what they need to do and all that. So I think it's important that we're having this conversation.
Exactly, and even where to run to. You know, if your child is, if you suspect that there's anything wrong with your child, where to run to, what treatment,
right questions to ask.
Exactly. Is this therapy? We really don't know. That's why I'm really excited that we're going to be talking about this. It's a very dear topic, you know, very dear to me because I have a very close friend whose daughter is autistic. Her daughter is 8, and I firsthand have seen her struggle to raise that child because her husband still finds it unbelievable, you know, but the truth is sometimes the problem lies in the fact that we still live in denial.
Right,
and for obvious reasons, and I think this is only natural. So we need to get to talk about this more often so that we can shed light on this topic. Because really every child is special in his or her own way. And learning from each other's experiences will definitely
make you see motherhood from another mom's angle.
Exactly. Our special guest today is Tonye Ekezie, who is the founder of Simone's Oasis, a platform and community for families with special needs children. Thank you for joining us, Tonye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Well, my name is Tonye Ekezie, as you said.
I see this very colorful book, Tonye. Before you go any further, tell me about this book.
All right, so this book is called Ugo and SimSim, What is Down Syndrome? And funny enough, it's based on my children. I didn't even change their names. I said, you know what? It's actually based on a real conversation I had with my son. So it's based in fact, not fiction.
It's not fiction.
Yeah, so while, you know, everything, all the other books that have come after or coming after are fictional, this is actually based on a real conversation. The questions that are in this are the questions my son actually asked. Yeah, so I've had really strong reactions to the book. Like for some people it's been like a gut reaction, but all positive. Either the children are just like, Auntie, when is the next book coming out? They're hooked. So the thing is, it comes from a conversation with a 4-year-old. He was 4 at the time. He's almost 6 now, And he was noticing that, you know, all these people come to the house every day. Every day there's 2 or 3 people are coming to the house and they're playing with Simone. Mom, why can't I go and play with her? It's not fair. I want to play with Simone. Now they're very bonded. From the moment she came out of my womb, they've been like this. I haven't had any of that sibling rivalry issue. Of course, like any brother and sister, they fight. Of course, and she's the real Agberu. So. But he just thought, gosh, this is so unfair. Like, she's having this great time every day, and I'm stuck here with you. Like, this is not cool. So I now had to explain Down syndrome. Look, she has something called Down syndrome. What's Down syndrome? Trying to explain it to a 4-year-old. So children are really visual in the way they learn. So I was looking for books, and I found some, but all the characters are Caucasian. And then it's just one book. There's no follow-up. It's not, you bond with the character in one book. Okay, when's the next?
What's next?
So I just thought, you know what? Somebody else somewhere
Has this question.
is having this question. I'm not in isolation here. Is having this struggle. So either they're struggling to explain to their other children what is going on, or they're just failing to see their children represented in whatever they're reading or watching. So even if you remove the aspect of the special needs, we're Black children.
We're Africans.
We're Africans. Why is my child only got Oyibo? Some will say, you're Oyibo yourself. Well, fine, I'm mixed. My dad is half Nigerian, but he's a full Nigerian to the core, as you know. But they're not seeing themselves. And it's so powerful to see yourself represented as a child, because you build your self-esteem, right? So for this, you've got the special needs aspect. Special needs children and other children can see themselves, learn about these different people that exist, that have a right to life, and be entertained. But it's also the fact of a reading culture that should interest children. We need to, build a reading culture. So all those elements are what is going on. But everything I'm doing forms a basis from initially our journey, this conversation with my son. So my younger child, SimSim, is the one with Down syndrome, and she got diagnosed late at 4.5 months. I didn't do any of the testing. People ask me, why didn't you test her? You would have known. And so I didn't want to know, because I'm having that child regardless. But that brings up an issue of diagnosis, which we'll get to. But so 60% of Down syndrome kids have a heart issue. Usually mild, maybe can be fixed with medication or minor surgery, but hers was very far from mild. By the time she was diagnosed, she was in heart failure. So we went in for something else, right? And found something else. So we went in because she had a choking incident, but luckily I knew first aid. I was able to do it. So it was just taking her to have oxygen. And while I was doing in that appointment, when we did our follow-up, I had complained about her lethargy. That she don't really, at this age, she should, I know she's not crawling or anything like that, I'm not expecting, but and she's not having energy. And I thought maybe it's the heat, maybe, and she's sweating profusely. So I was like, maybe it's because we just come from Jan after, and she's sweating. Yes, exactly. So I had her in the US. We were in the US till she was 8 weeks. Went to London, were in London for about a month, did all our checks there. So she was seen by doctors in the US, seen by doctors in the UK. Nothing. It was here in Nigeria. So it makes you understand that we have good people here. I'm a real patriot. And we really have great doctors here. It's just about giving them the structure to do their work.
That's true.
So it was on the follow-up appointment from that choking incident where I had, made these points. And because she wasn't showing any severe external symptoms. She was still eating, which is one of the symptoms you check for, apparently. She was still eating, she was still functioning, no problem apart from the lethargy and sweating. Meanwhile, this child is in heart failure.
Wow.
Yeah. So the cardiologist did an echocardiogram on her, and within the first minute, he had to stop. He's like, I'm going to have to put her to sleep. And I just knew then that it was not good from his face and everything. So 45 minutes later, God bless him, he was like, I know you. Let's not sugarcoat this. Let me just tell you straight. She hasn't got more than 6 months. It's today, tomorrow, a week, but not more than 6 months. And he's like, you have to get her out. They do heart surgeries in Nigeria, but he said, we don't have this capacity here.
And I love his honesty.
Straight. It wasn't mean. He was clearly concerned and tell me the truth. Don't sugarcoat it. And I'm someone who would rather have the truth.
Yes.
And thank God, both my parents are still around. I spoke to them immediately, my family. Within a week, we were in America. We got off the plane, bathed, went straight to the doctor. A friend of my dad's, an old friend who's a retired surgeon, she'd done our appointments. So from that, she picked us up. We went straight to the hospital. And the doctor too, he was like, he doesn't understand. Like, what he's seeing against what he's seeing physically, other children showing the same symptoms would be gasping for breath, would be blue, would be immobile. You know, she wasn't
very strong child.
She didn't show any of those things, so it was shocking for them. And he was like, I can't let you go back to your house. You guys, they called the ambulance there. From there, we went straight into the hospital. We were in the hospital for about a month till she had the surgery. She wasn't well enough to have the surgery.
How old was she at the time?
So she, at the diagnosis of the Downs, 4.5 months. Okay. The echo was like a week later. By the time she had the surgery, she was 6 months at the surgery. Yeah, and you know they're very routine. It's Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, so they're used to all this. So the guy that did it is one of the best in America. And so for them, it's like, oh, this is just routine. I'm like, boy, this is not routine for me. This is, and when they're describing it, oh my goodness, there's one of the female doctors, when she was walking us through the surgery, and she was, oh yes, and then we will open up her stomach. I was like, what? Why do you have to do this? Like, what's with this movement? You can just say, oh, we'll have to, open up her thorax. They don't have to do all of this. So it was quite funny. You have to have and keep a sense of humor. Now, meanwhile, in the hospital, we had another instance. So they gave her this drug called Milrinone, which can sometimes have a side effect of something called NEC, which is when you build up gas in the intestine, and it can be lethal. Only God help me. So I'm telling you, so I just noticed some blood in her soul, because I'm that mom. I am that mom who's checking the poo-poo. I'm that person. After those, no, you have to check, or you have to be on it.
How did you cope? The whole one? What?
Not many people ask me. They're like, "Oh, you're so strong," but nobody really asks, "How did you? What is the mentality of that?" And when I look back on it now, it was like a dream. It was like an outer body experience, because it wasn't me. I always say it was God. I've always had some kind of faith, and it got stronger as I got married, but it really wasn't until this, and it takes a challenge to really know how strong you are, and really, or how weak you are, and how strong God is. Because it wasn't me in that hospital. I wasn't weeping. I think every time someone came to visit, they would expect this person that's, oh my God, no. No, we just gist, how things, she's okay. And because her attitude is one of, she's just a warrior. I call her, she's like my warrior. Yeah. She's just that girl.
How old is she now?
4. She just turned 4. Terrorizes all of us. She's a gangster. Like, she does, this WWE wrestling. We have SmackDown between the two of them, and she smacks him down. She's like, really? Boom. Yeah, so very, very, very strong. Heart is functioning great. It took a long time for her to recover, because generally they recover about 3 months after such a surgery. So she had an open heart surgery. 3 months later, she was back home. We were back home within days of the surgery. They try and get you out because of all this, infections. I'm telling you. And, but every echo we went for, no improvements. So it's the same. And we were put on these deadlines that, okay, if it's not better by then, we
do something else.
We have to have a heart transplant. That's the journey we were on. Yeah, that's the journey we were on. So you go in intensive care, the unit there, and you see all these small children, young, fighting for their lives. Like, there's nothing I can describe to you of what you will see there. It's nothing, unless you're in that, you haven't seen anything. So my situation was nothing compared to what people are going through. So that put perspective. But she was always positive. She is always kind of positive, independent person. But she was running around fine, but she was on 6 different medications. So sleeping was an issue, because the last one you give to her at 1 a.m., the next one after that is like between 5 and 6. So sleep, it's only just now she's sleeping through the night. yeah, so the medication on top, but because after almost 1 year after, the heart was not better, they put us on the heart transplant list. Yeah, so
Really?
we were on that journey for a heart transplant. And I kept begging them, it's not our portion. I really don't believe this. Give her more time.
Yes.
And eventually, about 12 months or 14 months after the surgery, they saw the first improvement. Minute, but it was enough to buy us some more time.
And celebrate, obviously.
So we didn't celebrate too much. We're just like, okay, all right, God, you're doing this.
Yes.
Next time, again, slight improvements. So by the third time, slight improvement again. They say, it's not improving enough. We have to go and do this heart transplant. I'm like, just give us one more chance. And that last chance, the improvement was so dramatic. Like the way the doctor even embraced me, jumped up, so dramatic that they were like, okay, if we see this kind of improvement again, there's no heart transplant. And that's what happened. The next time we saw the improvements, no heart transplant.
Tonye, listening to your story, I'm once again convinced that moms are actually angels on earth, and that there's so much power in our thoughts, positive thinking. We have so much power in our hands to actually speak life into our children.
Yes, definitely.
And I also love the fact that you weren't in denial.
There's no time for that.
No.
I'm trying to save her life. There's no time for denial.
And I think the fact that she also had support system helped.
Look, children are extremely intuitive, right? If we're sitting here and fighting, and one of our children is here, they're going to start crying.
Exactly.
Right?
They can smell it.
Even if you're quietly fighting, you're like,
they know.
They know.
Extremely intuitive. So I consciously made an effort to make sure she was surrounded by love.
Yes.
So from this story of Ugo and SimSim, because I don't like to sit still and all kinds of things go on in my head all the time, and moms, we like to do too many things.
Exactly.
Too many things instead of sticking to one thing. So it became clear to me from the feedback I was getting that there's an avenue for this, and that with conversations I had with friends who had been in denial or were coming out of denial, who, when I came back from this journey, the number of autistic children had skyrocketed in the 3 years we were out dealing with my daughter's heart issue. So I was like, okay, people think it's weird I talk about this, but it seems to help. Let me start this platform. What am I going to call the platform? So I said, okay, let's start on social media. We'll call it Simone's Oasis. So Simone's Oasis.
Yes.
It comes from, started with Ugo and SimSim, so they're now part of that platform. But I wanted to dedicate a space that was kind of reflecting my journey. Clearly, Simone. So that's where this people have to know the origin story, but it's also an oasis. So this is something authentic. It's coming from our experience. I didn't wake up and say, special needs, that's a market. I didn't wake up and do that. It's an understanding that I'm in a position where I can help others. Because I've been through it. And realizing that in talking, the different journeys people have, right? So for example, I have a friend, almost identical story to mine. But she had a terrible time because she didn't have the support system. The husband mistreats. So it was, and she was in denial but she's so on it now.
Good.
But it's how people deal with it differently. Everybody is different. Each child is different. Whether it's a special needs child or you're a typical child. So Simone's Oasis, what am I trying to do? Just share the stories, share what my knowledge is, because I didn't know I knew so much. But all the therapy we've been through the last couple of years, just actually living with a child, raising a child with special needs.
Have enough experience.
Exactly, to be able to share kind of some of the things we do at home, some of the knowledge we have, pick stories that are around on social media that I think are important, but also try and get people to come out and ask. They can just DM. You don't have to write anonymously. You can do it anonymously. You can join our WhatsApp group, and it's kind of starting from there because my background is in TV and film production. So that, but I never thought I would then go into kids. It's not God's again. It's God. So this book currently, I'm so excited about this.
It's lovely.
Being turned into a cartoon.
Wow!
So it's being turned into cartoon. Yeah, in
Nigerian characters.
Nigerian characters. So my thing is also, even though I look like an Ajebota, I want to be an Ajekwaku. But you know, it's really, really important. I think working in the TV and film industry here, you realize that a lot of hardworking young people who just want to be given a chance, who are willing to do the hard work. Because yes, there are a lot of people who think, oh, you TV and fine boy, fine girl. We know there's nothing fine boy, fine girl.
Exactly, hard work.
But working in this industry for God knows 12 years or whatever, there are people with talents here.
That's true.
They're not being given the chance.
That's
what
true.
can I do in my experience in this small arena to help local creatives? So I specifically, even though it's taken longer, used creatives in Nigeria. So 100% Nigeria, just the printing.
Made in Nigeria for Africa.
Fantastic.
But, so it's really that's a part of what I'm trying to do is create content featuring Black children, Nigerian children, African children. Representation matters.
Yes, it does.
And through the Simone's Oasis, make it not unusual. It's for you to see a child with special needs. So part of the ignorance that happens is because people hide these children away. Right? So if we are lost as adults, the small ones are not lost. Right? We can get the small ones. So if it's part of just the stuff they consume, right? Number one, they're seeing themselves represented. They're also seeing different characters. You know, maybe later on we introduce a character with autism. We have a character with Downs, which is SimSim. But there are all these tales that can come out. And some of the other content we're creating, some of the talents are kids with special needs. It's just not neurotypical children. So it's about creating an environment of representation so that when you see someone in a wheelchair, when you see a blind person,
because the children will ask you those questions.
Why
is it different?
There's nothing wrong with asking.
That's true.
There really isn't, and you demystify a lot by asking. You know, and yes, you know, yes, you might not know how to approach someone to ask, but just ask.
That's true.
Everybody is a human being. Just ask. A lot of ignorance is because people hide them, people don't talk about it, denial,
lack of support.
And we do a disservice to our society because at the end of the day, you will raise children who cannot contribute. You're not doing anybody a favor by hiding these children away. But if you're active, if you're able from early years, because early intervention is key, from 0 to 6, that's where the majority of brain development happens during that age. So you have to get in early.
Tonye, I have a question for you. Sorry to cut you there. So at this point, when you had to go through, you and your husband had to go through the treatment, how did your husband?
I knew you'd come in here.
How did he ensure that how was he there for you? What special things did he do?